Hello and welcome to the TI-89 Calculator Tutor. In this section we're going to dive into the calculus menu again, and we're going to begin to talk about limits, which is number 3 under here. Limits is something that you study in the early beginning stages of calculus, use it quite a bit, and then normally most calculus courses you learn about the limit, and then after that you don't really use limits that much for quite a long time because the concept of a derivative really is defined in terms of a limit. But in the beginning, it is nice to know that limits exist in your calculator and you can take basic limits. So let's go ahead and learn how to do that. What we want to do is go and do the following. Let's start off with something super easy that everyone would be able to visualize. Let's say we're going to take a limit of the function x cubed, which is a very well-defined function. And we're going to obviously go from, we have to pick a variable and a limit that we're going to take with respect to. So let's go x goes to the number 3. Okay, so the way you would write this on paper is limit x cubed, and then underneath the limit you would say x with an arrow goes to 3. So in this case there's nothing special about this function, so you're getting exactly the same thing. It's just basically plugging in the number 3 here. 3 cubed is 27, so the answer that the calculator gets is 27. And so when you don't do anything special, when you just say function variable goes to the number 3, then basically it's doing what we call a two-sided limit. It's approaching this number on this function from both directions, and just it tries to determine if it can converge on a single number going in both directions. So going from the bottom and going from the top, it converges on x is equal to 3, and it finds that 27 is exactly right there. And it looks like the calculator is just plugging it in, but really it's traveling up and it's traveling down, and it's trying to determine if it converges on a single number. And so in this case it does. All right, so you can change this around and say, x to the 7th plus 4 times x, let's say. And instead of x goes to 3, you could say x goes to -4, let's say. Hit enter. It's going to get a number also, because this polynomial is very well defined. There's no dividing by 0 going on. There's no ambiguity really. It's a nice continuous function, so when you approach it from the bottom and you approach it from the top, you're going to reach the same exact number. So these are sort of no-brainer limits that you first learn about in calculus. Now, we didn't specify coming from the left or from the right, so the calculator is going to assume that we're going to be coming from both directions to try to see if we can converge somewhere in the middle. So let's go ahead and do one that's slightly more complicated. Let's go ahead and do limit. Go